Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to our inspirational content this morning. Today is our 255th day today. 1 Samuel, the 30th chapter, will be our next chapter that we're going to read together today from the Amplified Version. And tomorrow will be our very last day in the book of 1 Samuel. So try to catch up and read and just enjoy yourselves. Don't let it be like a task that's hard. Try to flow with it. Try to understand it, and just enjoy it. Like reading the greatest book that it is. This story about Jesus and his disciples, and well, we're not really Jesus yet because he's not in the earth form of Jesus, but we are reading about God. We are reading about the children of Israel. We're reading about the prophets. We're reading about David and the Philistines and how things were back then and how we can apply some of that stuff today. Because even though the things we're learning about are in the Old Testament, it doesn't mean that none of it can be applied to today. As a matter of fact, a whole lot of it can be applied today. Maybe not the traditions, but the overall meaning and symbolisms and things like that. That's what it would be for us today. And but back then, they were like commandments and golden rules and all of that. But anyway, let's go into the lesson today. I am having water in this cup. This is a new cup. It's not my cup, but I borrowed it, and it's really, really pretty. And red is not even my favorite color, but sometimes red make me feel a certain type of way. And I need to feel that certain type of way today. Y'all keep me in prayer. Now when David and his men came home to Ziklag on the third day, they found that the Amalekites had made a raid on the south and on Ziklag, and had struck Ziklag and burnt it with fire, and had taken the women and all who were there, both great and small, captive. They killed no one, but carried them off and went on their way. So David and his men came to the town, and behold, it was burnt, and their wives and sons and daughters were taken captive. Then David and the men with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more strength to weep. David's two wives also had been taken captive, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. David was greatly distressed, for the men spoke of stoning him, because the soul of them all was bitterly grieved, each man for his sons and daughters. But David encouraged and strengthened himself in the Lord his God. David said to Abiathar the priest, Amalek's son, I pray you, bring me the ephod. And Abiathar brought him the ephod. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? Shall I overtake them? The Lord answered him, pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. He gonna recover all. So David went, he and the 600 men with him, and came to the brook Bezor. There those remained who were left behind. But David pursued, he and 400 men, for 200 stayed behind, who were too exhausted and faint to cross the brook Bezor. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. Just to do a quick recap for those of you all who was not with us yesterday, let's go back to 1 Samuel 29, and I'm going to start at the 10th verse. And remember in Samuel 29, David and his men was not trusted by the Philistines. to go up against the children of Israel. So that was a whole different thing than 30. So, okay, so starting from 9. And Achish said to David, I know that you are as blameless in my sight as an angel of God. Nevertheless, the princes of the Philistines have said, he shall not go up with us to the battle. So now rise up early in the morning with your master's servants who have come with you, and as soon as you are up and have light, depart. So David and his men rose up early in the morning to return to the land of the Philistines, but the Philistines went up to Jezreel to fight against Israel. So David and his men, they're not going to fight against Israel. God worked that thing out. Well, they didn't have, well, David wasn't going to do it anyway. He was just going to do something else at the last minute if they had gotten that far. But anyway, he's been released to go back to Ziklag, where he lives, him and his people. And when they came back to Ziklag, this is where 1 Samuel, the 30th chapter, takes place. I just wanted to reiterate that for those of us who are really following along and might have got a little confused, or maybe you're not following along, you got confused. So, so this is what's going on in Ziklag. You know, God is just so good how he orchestrates things, how he allowed David and his men to get out of that situation of going with the Philistines. I mean, look at what was going on in Ziklag. His wife and kids and land was that nobody was killed, but they was captive. They was taken into captivity. And so David, he has his own problems to deal with, right? You know, what God is going to allow to happen to Israel with the Philistines, is what God is going to allow, and he need David somewhere else. David had no idea that where he was living, all this stuff was going on behind his back, okay? But God knew, amen? So how we can apply that today, God knows stuff, the unknown dangers and troubles that are ahead of us that we have no clue about. All we have to do is keep walking in faith and put that spiritual ephod on us, put that spiritual garment on us, and be able to put that spiritual garment on us, because David had a relationship with God. And so only a relationship with God, you can get into that spiritual realm of putting that spiritual garment on. Now, he actually had a physical garment, the ephod, that he put on him to transfer himself from his carnal thinking to reaching spiritual insights. He needed guidance from God, and that was something that Saul couldn't get anymore from God. When Saul fell from the grace of God, he could not reach God in that way anymore. And David, besides his imperfections, besides his flaws, besides his mistakes, his heart was still with God. David still had a repenting heart, and it sought after God. David was not selfish during these times. What's going on in the book of 1 Samuel? David was not selfish. He always remembered that God was his driving force. And that's how we have to be. We can't let material things be our driving force. It has to be God. It has to be God to lead and guide us all the time. And there's so much even in my life that I have to ask God to lead me, guide me. Lord, what do you want me to do now? You see what's going on. Help me, Lord. Lighten this thing, Lord. Or remove obstacles, the blocks, Lord. Do this, do that. Because when something is out of your hands, it feels like a giant. It's like a giant in your life that you can't measure up to. And you know God. God, he's bigger than any giants that come into our lives. Not only will God calm the storm, God can't stop and remove the storm. The storm could be not even existing anymore. What was the storm? God could give you peace. And some things we gotta tap into that what they call that crazy faith. And that's a faith on a whole nother level, y'all. A whole nother level. And again, we definitely got to have a personal relationship with God to reach those higher heights and deeper depths in God. Like the video. I love you all. Enjoy your Wednesday. We're already halfway through this week. Amen. Stay warm. It's really cold in Chicago this morning. It was nice yesterday. Besides the rain, it was pretty nice. Let me know what's going on in your hometowns or wherever you visiting, because, this is my hometown, but I'm still caring for Daddy. And keep us in much, much prayer. Love y'all. Bye.